Boys, is there something that you do that relaxes you, brings you peace,
Oh yeah.
joy, happiness that would drive somebody else fucking crazy?
It gives you some sort of release.
Yeah, like something that makes you feel good, not like in a
Yeah.
sexual sense.
What?
Okay, I was gonna say, how explicit can we get here?
Bobby.
Something
I'll
that would
tell you,
be
every time I do it, it drives people crazy.
fair. I guess.
Okay, I've got a legitimate answer here. I like to crunch ice. I like taking a big swig of water, getting some ice in there and crunching it up. Just feels good to me, and I know that some people don't like. Well, some people are like they just don't
Well,
like the
yeah, it's
sound
like
of chewing at all. But then like the violent crunch of something like ice is rough for some people.
You say violent crunch, and that makes
Yeah.
me feel uncomfortable.
yeah, like a
But I also like chewing ice.
Fair enough.
So
I mean, we can't all afford the refrigerators that give you Sonic Ice, can we,
True.
Bobby?
they're not that expensive. Okay, so chewing ice. Fair.
Mhm.
Johnny.
Everything Johnny does drives us
Yeah.
up the wall.
exactly.
Okay.
I can't think of which source.
Can't hear a word you're saying.
Talking on a podcast that
damn
drives
it.
us up the wall.
Hello?
Yeah,
Johnny.
yeah, we can kind of hear you sometimes.
What the fuck?
Hello?
Yes.
Is my connection real bad?
I mean,
it's better. It's fine now, but it goes in and out.
I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know either.
I can leave and go restart my router and my modem. But-
Didn't you try that before? That didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
It didn't do
and if I
anything.
check my speeds,
I think it's user error,
is it?
probably.
We'll see what happens.
We'll
We'll
be
keep
fine.
we'll keep riding it for a bit.
This isn't an important show, not like Game of the Year was. So we'll let it ride.
Well, what I was going to say here before we get into what this actually is,
Yeah, what
Johnny.
annoying things do you do that you
Well, hang on,
that
Johnny.
bring you joy?
John, I put up with Johnny.
Great.
What do you do, Johnny? Do you do anything that you feel is annoying
That
to
annoys other people?
that you like?
There has to be so many things. This podcast.
Easy answer.
Fair
Low
point.
hanging fruit.
There may. I mean, nobody on this podcast is upset that you do this podcast, but I imagine there might be certain people,
At least one person.
not on the podcast currently, that are annoyed that you are doing the podcast.
But who? Who could it be? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe we'll hear her if we listen very closely.
Nah, she's sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll tell you something. I'm very meticulous about certain things, like my monitors being clean, or like my keyboard.
Yeah.
But the rest of the desk will just be kind of a disorganized mess. And there's
I couldn't drive with that.
Yeah. But my ADD works in such a way that I can just hone in on what's actually important and not sweat the small details on the outer edges, that like the clutter and stuff that builds up. Like it just it doesn't bug me the way that it does a lot of other people.
That makes sense.
And like I know it's messy, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I will organize occasionally, but for the most part, there's like books or like I do Roblox gift cards sitting on my desk right now.
Those are the ones to have.
Yeah.
I love to cable manage. I adore it. It brings me a lot of joy and zen. I will spend hours doing it. And based off of a lot of the houses I've gone to, most people don't share my same enthusiasm for managing cables.
I want to be that guy, and I just am not. Every time I've tried to go like, okay, I'm gonna actually do cable management stuff, I make one concession, and then it cascades into a million concessions, and then it's, oh well, this is just a rat's nest. I guess this is
Yeah.
how I live now.
Yeah, exactly. Like
That's
the
fair.
basket under my desk where I shove
Yeah.
all that shit, and then I have it looking nice and neat behind my monitor. It's gradually become a nightmare. So
Yeah.
Well, speaking of
So you were feeling
nightmares,
pretty zen today, Bobby, from what I'm
oh
hearing.
yeah, I got through a podcast and a half. I went through it all today. I cable managed my entire office again. Like, it wasn't terrible, but I've added enough new shit that I've been putting it off. And something I put off for a very long time is I'm not like a one password guy, but I'm a handful of a password guy. And I've had enough things in my life tech wise tell me I should do that differently. And there's certain websites I haven't had two-factor on. And I went through and I cleaned up about 150 of 900 plus passwords today, and added two-factor authentication to a lot of websites and did all that stuff. Went through and did I cleaned up my nightstand drawer, but I still got a little bit left to do tomorrow on the capture card front, making sure that those cables are routed correctly. But the other big thing is I moved our show over to straight up OBS. And so hopefully this is coming across okay. Things are looking good, sounding good.
Yeah.
We moved over from Streamlabs, something we talked about doing last year, and it's just difficult to find time between games and shows and work to do that. But I'm on vacation right now, so I put that time. So I had a very productive day. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm a little sore, but I'm excited to talk about video games with a lot of you. And
too many cables.
Too many cables. This is episode 305.
No chairs, though.
No chairs. No chairs.
Balls.
Our last episode of 2022. And to wrap this year up, we're going to look ahead and focus on that first month of the year, which not a lot, but some pretty big games out of the gate from a AAA perspective. There's some pretty big titles that are going to be there, some old, some new. Chase will take us through that. We're going to tell you about the games that we thought would be good in December and let you all know how that fared for us. And because we've been on a break, the last time we recorded our show live was on I think the 16th of the month. So we took that week off for the holiday, and we are all everybody's played new games. Everybody's played a lot of video games. That's all we've done, right? Nobody's seen family, friends. We just locked ourselves in a room and played video games.
No. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Well, then let's get to it. I'm Bobby. Chase is here. Chase, hello.
Hello, Bobby.
And Johnny, the robot.
Hi.
Chase, why don't you kick us off with what you've been up to, man?
Sure. This is honestly my favorite time of the year. Not just because it's the holidays, but because in this post game of the year afterglow that we have, we can just play whatever the fuck we want, and it doesn't matter. Any of the games, I know Johnny mentioned that, we should consider the games that come out after game of the year, but it's not January yet. I'm like, no, I'm a hardliner on that. Fuck a sports story. Sorry, you didn't make it in time. I mean, maybe when that game actually releases, it'll be 2023. But this, like any of these late December games, it's all funny money, and you can just play whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. I can catch up on stuff I wanted to play over the course of the year. I can just play new random shit, and that's what I did. So let me take you through a couple of these things here. I played a game called Pokemon Red. You guys ever heard of this before?
Oh boy.
So
okay.
What kind of fucking weird shit have you gotten into now?
I decided to play a slightly different version of Pokemon Red than before. I made a randomized seed of Pokemon Red, where all of the wild Pokemon were randomized.
Oops, all fairies.
Yeah, could be, and all the starter Pokemon were randomized, but all of the trainer Pokemon were not randomized. So that's the part I don't like in randomizers, is if you go to the gym and go, okay, well, I'm facing Brock, he's got rock Pokemon, and then it's, oh no, it's a Moltres. I'm like, well, fuck you. This is bullshit. So instead, I use the options to say, okay, keep those guys having their same thing. I can still plan around things. I just want to have a different group of Pokemon to play with than before. I also did enable one extra thing where you can teach HMs to any Pokemon. So I just was like, yeah, I just don't want to deal with that shit. I'll have one Pokemon. It can put all the HMs on it. I don't really have to care. So it's been pretty good. What was my starter? God, I can't even remember what my starter was. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was decent. And I ended up catching a Mew very early on, which felt a little weird,
a little strange.
A little fucked how good that was. I haven't been using it too much. I didn't want to use legendaries if I didn't have to. But I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun playing a Pokemon game with these new rules to it, or with this new stuff. I also decided I'm not streaming it anywhere or recording it, but I decided to play honorably, and you okay there, Bobby?
Yeah, why?
My face was on all three screens there for like half a second.
Yeah. I was just making sure that I had your audio in check.
Okay, all right, we're all good.
Where are you playing this?
I'm playing this on my analog pocket. This white piece over here. That's my analog pocket. But I did the gentlemanly honorable thing, and I said I'm going to do a Nuzlocke. It's up to the honor code here, and I've already lost 2 Pokemon and set them free. But I'm trying to play this as a Nuzlocke with the randomization in there, and it's been a lot of fun. It's nice to go back to a Pokemon game where I basically know everything, but to get in there and try different things. Oh, it's a Poliwhirl. That was it. That was my starter, which I thought was really cool because that's in the Pokemon manga. That's the first Pokemon that Red has. It's a Poliwhirl, and then he gets a Bulbasaur very soon after, and a Pikachu, and lots of other stuff. But yeah, so that's been pretty fun to play around and get some weird different Pokemon that I usually don't play with because I wouldn't have a reason to. So I've been enjoying that quite a bit. I also played some of that Front Mission First remake, or whatever it's called, Front Mission Remake First, or whatever.
Another one.
Yeah. I never played a Front Mission game before. I've watched our good friend of the show, Matt Jigisan Jaguar.
Big fan.
Yeah, he's played not Front Mission 1. He's been playing Front Mission 3, I think. That's the one that he played on stream. 1, I believe, never came out to America on the Super Nintendo. I think that was a Japan-only game. It did get a fan translation, but this is the first official time that people could be playing the first Front Mission. It's a turn-based strategy game with mechs. Sounds great, right? Sounds like chase
awesome.
of shit. I don't
Not feeling it?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling watching some of the stuff on it, and especially after you and I attempted to play through Tactics Ogre.
Yeah.
And I do feel, Chase, that like not always, but I think more and more that we've been spoiled by modern mechanics in games and modern technical achievements in games, that some of these older ones, no matter how pretty they look,
You're right.
they still feel
old.
Yeah, and Tactics Ogre even has updated mechanics. Like they changed that game to try to feel a little bit more modern, and I still didn't really like it. And this game too has some changes that you can play either a classic version of it, which doesn't change the graphics at all or anything, but it just has mechanical changes or mechanical authenticity to what it was before, or you can play the modern version that has a couple of quality of life upgrades to it. So I'm playing the modern version of Front Mission Remake, and there's a lot I like about it. I don't think it looks particularly good, but I think it plays pretty solidly. I kind of know where things go. I like the variety of robots. You can customize your Wanzers. Oh god, also they're called fucking Wanzers. It's the most beautiful term for a mech that I've ever heard. So you can fully customize your Wanzer, how it looks, what the parts do. The parts are not just cosmetic; they have real gauges on how the machine performs. You can put different weapons on it on both your hands and then on both of your shoulders as well. You can do big missile launchers and things like that. I also really like that it has kind of a Skyrim system for its experience points. When you have like a general pool of experience, but when you do melee attacks, your guys get better at melee. When you do longer range attacks, they get better at longer range attacks. So
Is this only on Switch?
Yes. Yeah, I think Nintendo had something to do with the
The
publishing of the remakes.
Got it.
Yeah.
So they're exclusive to Switch. So the first one, and then they've said 2 is coming this. I think they said both 2 and 3 were coming sometime this next year.
Because I know that like Front Mission Evolved is on Steam, but I don't know if that was the same thing. Where it was like I don't know if those are the same games or not.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not super deep into Front Mission.
Get Jiggy on the phone.
We should, honestly.
Jiggy, save us.
So there's a lot of things that I like about it, but there are a couple things that really drag it down for me. And one of those things is something that sounds pretty cool in practice, is that your Wanzers have different body parts that have their own HP gauges. So you have a body, and that's kind of your regular HP. But then you also have hit points for each arm and your legs as a whole. And that can be really cool. So if I destroy someone's right arm, it disables the weapon that's in their right arm, so they might not be able to attack you back. Or if you destroy the legs, I would have assumed it means they couldn't move anymore. Apparently, that's not what it means. I don't know why. That part doesn't make sense to me. But maybe it has less mobility, so it can't evade attacks as much. I'm only a handful of missions in, but the problem is I cannot, at least at this point, and again, I'm not very far in, but I have no way to pinpoint stuff. I have no way to say, okay, I want this to be a left arm attack. I just have my character shoots. They shoot somewhat randomly
or something.
It's a dice roll of what they hit, I guess, and also a dice roll of if they hit. And some weapons have multiple hits with them. So like if I have like a bullpup machine gun or something, it's going to hit 5 different times, or has the opportunity to hit 5 different times for so much damage. And what it hits those 5 different times can be any one of those things: the body, the arm, each arm, and the legs.
Seems kind of strange.
I wonder if that was like BattleTech.
VATS, like.
Yeah, if it was something more like VATS, where I could say, and there may be a way to eventually target that. Maybe it's a skill that you get later of, okay, now I can target arms, or I can target body and do specific attacks like that. But I'll tell you, in the early game, it really fucking sucks, because I get to a point of, okay, I've planned this out. I've got enough firepower that I can take out this mech in 2 attacks, and I just need both of my guys to hit. And those are dice rolls of if they hit, sure. But now it's also a dice roll of if they hit the body. Because if they hit the arm, well, then fuck. The second attack doesn't matter, because I didn't do any damage to the body, and he's still going to be there, even if the arm's damaged. They can still get an attack with a different weapon. It's not like a Fire Emblem where I feel like I have more control over, okay, I know I can take this guy out this turn, and so I'm going to.
Strategically eliminating.
Right. The strategy part feels like it's kind of being taken away from me, and
there's like an RNG aspect into it.
Now that you have
seems a little strange.
Fancy PC of yours, Chase.
Yeah.
It's a 2018 game. I played it for the first time this year back in April. But I was really impressed with what I saw, and quite frankly would have played more of it, but the podcast cursed, and that's BattleTech. And I think that might scratch the itch that you're chasing here.
I own that game. I have not loaded it up yet, but it is one that, yes, I watched a lot of people talk about it. It's something I wanted to play. It's something that my MacBook Pro would not have been able to play. I don't even think it had a Mac version there for a long while. It might still not, but that's a game I'd like to play for sure.
Yeah.
But I was out of town at the time, so this is a good
Oh,
game
yeah,
to try
yeah.
on my Switch. And I just, as much as I like some parts of it, the other thing I didn't really like about it is that there's so many options for weapons and armor and different pieces that you can attach to the mech, and it just was very difficult for me to understand, is this actually a good setup or not? I mean, numbers are going up and numbers are going down, but I wasn't really getting a good sense of these are meaningful upgrades, or this is going to do something better for the mech than what I had before. I felt like I bought all of the most expensive stuff to put on one guy of like, okay, well, this guy's got much better stuff. He's got the Mark III version compared to the Mark I he was wearing, and it felt like he was playing where he was getting worse rolls. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a little inscrutable, and I don't know if that's just Front Mission 1. If Front Mission 2 fixes some of those concerns, I'm not sure. That is maybe something where I'll have to get Jiggy-san on the phone and chat him
Get
up
him on
about
the
how
phone.
something like Front Mission 3 works, and if there does have more specificity in that.
Not to cut you off, but I just had a thought. We've been trying to get a quick look lined up for like a retro thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we have him on and do a quick look of this, because he's not played this version of it.
I don't think he's played Front Mission 1 at all. I think he's only played 3.
So maybe he could shed some light while going through it, and like we can just have a discussion around like, hey, here's some pain points of what we're picking up on, but Jiggy can be like, oh, they improved this on this one, or this is what it was like. That could be interesting.
I'd be game for that. But they do call them Wanzers, and that's pretty cool.
It's a win.
So
Windsor Dragoons.
It sounds like a Windsor to me, if you know what I'm saying.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Other things that are pretty good. Koromon. Koromon's pretty good.
I'm
enjoying that quite a bit.
That's a good one. Who did you start with?
I started with.
Do I have to ask?
Casual Hours 2022 Best New Little Guy.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his
name. I don't remember his starting form. His Megalobite is what he evolves his final.
Sheartooth is the middle form that I remember. Yeah. I've had him quite a bit, but I just got him up to Megalobite, and pretty happy with him.
After all the failed efforts of these chase ass games that this year, this is the one that I was secretly thinking this is the one that'll do it. God damn it has to, and I'm happy to hear that it might be. This seems more like what you want out of Pokemon.
Yeah, it's out of like a Pokemon clone. Yeah. Like Temtem was sorry for the pun, not my tempo. Ooblets is not quite what I'm looking for.
Wouldn't Ooblets make more sense to be not your tempo?
Yeah, but it doesn't have the letters TEM in it, so
okay, all right, fair enough.
It's a,
fair.
It was a word pun, Johnny, not a
I don't know if TMs
pun.
are in Pokemon anymore.
It's true. They're all TRs or whatever the fuck now. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I feel like this is more what I was looking for out of a Pokemon style game that wasn't made by Game Freak. And in a lot of ways it is. I think it's got some really imaginative creature design. Really like all the creatures in it. I like how well animated they are despite still being pixel art.
They feel 90s or 80s.
Yeah. Do what?
They feel like they're from the 90s or 80s. Like
yeah.
The trappings and styles.
Yeah, I think there's a good mix of natural feeling. Hey, we took like a little shark and we turned him into a creature, a Koromon. And whereas some Pokemon have gotten a little out of hand with the unnaturalistic parts of them. All of these designs feel good. I like there's another guy, the mongoose one that's in the ground that like turns into like a weird snake that is spiraling in the ground. Love him. He's fantastic.
Their ghost types are really good.
Yeah, like all the ghost types. I have like the cat one that's just like a cat in a sheet, but it's got like a little tail to it, a little ghosty tail to it.
Evolve that one all the way up.
Oh yeah. Okay, I've seen its second evolution, and I wasn't super impressed, but yeah, maybe that third one does it for me. I really like the original bird you get, the first bird you get forgot what it starts as. Then it was like a guild wing, and now I just got it to its final form, and that thing looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
So I love the designs. I like the world generally. I think that also looks really nice. I think the writing's relatively solid. There's a couple of weak puns in there, but a lot of it is just pretty good.
Where are you playing this one at?
I'm playing this on the Switch. I'm so sorry, Bobby. The Christmas stuff is in there. I think that's fine. I got my Santa suit that you can put on. It's good. I like a lot of what it's doing. I even like some of the ways it separates itself from Pokemon. I generally like the stamina system that they've got there, that all of your moves take stamina instead of power points, and you gain a little bit of stamina back after every single battle. So you have ways of regaining and just continuing to grind. I also like that they have a bunch of accessibility options at the very beginning of the game of how do you want to play this thing. You can turn on what is essentially a Nuzlocke mode. I would say maybe don't. I don't feel like the game is built to Nuzlocke. In fact, I think it's built in a way that would make Nuzlocking really unfun. But you can pick that option if you want to at the very beginning. You can also pick a lot of custom options. It gives you kind of 3 difficulty style options, but it does say, hey, what do you want to do? And some of those options I think are really fun and just a really great way to experience the game. I picked one that is kind of like the old RPG trope of every time you level up, you gain all of your health and stamina back, which is... It's a great way, especially in like a Pokemon style game, because now I can just go out and when I want to grind up levels, as long as I'm grinding up a level after every handful of fights, I'm never I'm never losing enough stamina or health.
And you also got
encourage myself doing that. Yeah, what Johnny said. It does have what they call HP cakes that kind of work like potions. So if you want to use those, but I mostly haven't been. But there are times where it feels like you explicitly need to, because there's some times where the game gets kind of hard.
There's also, if you have that turned on for the health when you level up, they also have that battle pass built into it where it's like feats almost, and that will get you spinners and all kinds of cool shit that you can unlock by leveling up or doing things. And so when you're out, like, you don't need to be running back and forth nearly as much as you do in Temtem, but they also have
maybe you were about to say it, like they have teleporter things that are basically like those summoning stones, or I forgot what they call them in WoW, but like town portals, is that what they call them?
Yep.
That just immediately take you back to town. There's a good fast travel system in the game that is so you don't have to be weighed down with something like HMs. You get a gauntlet that has kind of all the HM powers inside it. It actually makes the game feel a little bit like Golden Sun sometimes, in the way that it has these puzzles between towns that you use your gauntlet with these different HM style powers to navigate through the puzzle stuff. I like all that. It's really solid.
Yeah.
Can I say a couple of bad things about it, Bobby? Am I allowed to say a couple things that I don't like, even though I really like the game?
I mean, would it be a show if you didn't?
I would like to be critical of the video game, if you please.
I mean, do what you want to do.
I think the moves are weak. I think the move pools are also weak. The water guy, my water shark guy, sheer tooth, megalobite, whatever, he's gotten a total of 2 attacking water moves that do damage, and he's at like level 40, and I'm like, this guy should have more moves that do damage of his type.
I'm trying to remember if I gave him something.
It has TMs. It has like unlimited TMs.
Do you have a blizzard move flashes, or like an ice move with him?
I don't have an ice move with him yet.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I had something with like a blizzard move with him that was really powerful too.
Okay,
I think.
I have attacking moves of other types, but he's my water Koromon, and I want to use him to attack things that water would be good against. And he's got like one weakish water move that he's had basically since level 7, and now he's level 40, and I'm still crutching on this one attack because it's kind of the best one I had. And that just feels a little weird that it doesn't feel like there's a lot of good moves. And in fact, I'm catching some of these Koromon that are specific types, like, oh, this one's like a ghost type or a magic type. I do like that they're different typings. I'm not quite used to how the typings work at this point, even though there are in-game guides that you can use.
Just save a photo to your phone. That's what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. You could totally do that, and I probably will. But I've caught a magic Koromon, and he's had no magic moves, and then I level him up 10 or 15 levels, and he still gets no magic moves. And I go, well, I want you to use the magic because that's what you're supposed to be good with.
I really think I was teaching.
Tough.
I haven't played Koromon for months, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm almost positive I was teaching moves to certain ones. Because there for a minute, when I was like really deep in the game, I was pulling up like tier list and shit for Koromon, and I was trying to build an effective team, and they're like, hey, this is a good move. I felt like I was teaching things in there. I'm pretty sure I was.
I mean, again, I've been getting skill flashes. I've been getting good moves that I can put on people. It's just that I have not been getting a good variety of those kinds of moves. And the other problem is that a lot of moves, one of the kind of the core types of moves that they give you often are these moves that could hit between 1 and 3 times, and the dice roll luck on that is terrible. I get hit one time more than 2 or 3 times by a large margin, and it just feels like the weakest shit. Those are always the moves I take off in Pokemon as soon as possible. Something like Fury Attack, like fuck that move. That move sucks. So I want to get off those moves, but sometimes it's the only fire move you get for 20 levels. It's like, well, god damn it. I just need to keep going with this and hope something gets better. That part feels a little weak to me. I also just it doesn't have gyms, and not that a game needs gyms. It does have its own kind of themed battles with these super large titans that have like one huge health bar that are a pain in the ass to fight. But outside of that, it doesn't really have themed teams at all. I would like to build a team to take on a specific task, and it doesn't have much in the way of that. The same way I talked about with Pokemon Red. Okay, I need to build a team that can beat Brock. What do I have here that can do water, fighting, grass, whatever moves? And I don't feel like I get that in Koromon because everybody just kind of uses a big variety of Koromon, and I can deal with that, and that's fine, but it takes away some of the build crafting that I like in games like that. So it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than most of the other kinds of games like these that I've tried, and it's one that I want to keep playing. It also kind of just feels like it's a little slow going, and that's not too bad so far. It's been fine. I just I feel like I want to be making more progress than I am. But it does make me just kind of want to keep sticking with the game.
It looks like it's like a 30-hour game. Roughly.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. I've taken down 2 of the Titans so far out of 6, so I guess I'm about a third of the way through, maybe a little less than that. But yeah, my favorite part so far is just leveling up all these guys and seeing the new forms. I got the like the electric dog that has 2 heads.
It's very good.
And when he evolves into like an electric Cerberus now with 3 heads. And it's like, okay, yeah, that guy rules. I like that guy.
For people who are not monsters that buy Steam Decks for shits and giggles, this runs really well on the Steam Deck. You don't have to sacrifice by playing on a Switch. It works great there. So
it's a pixel art game. It works just fine on the Switch. It's not pushing.
I don't know, man. That might be hard on the Switch too.
And then last but also least,
yes.
in your opinion, I played some more Super Robot Wars 30, a game that I should be done with by this point. I can't tell you where I am in this game. I've done like 100 and something missions.
Probably in a very big plane with a very shitty grid that looks like the last level, right?
Yeah. No, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it. It's fantastic. I still love playing with all my fun mechs. I'm at the point of the game where I've got so many people to the ace status, which means they've all taken down 50 or so enemies. A lot of them start with a good chunk. It's not like I've killed 50 enemies with every single one of these. Maybe some of them start with like 20 or 30 kills already. But I've gotten basically everybody to that ace status that now I feel like, oh, well, I'll just use the people I like. And now I'm turning them into just game breaking monsters. And that's great. But also, I'm at the point of the game where every mission takes like an hour. And
my God.
it's a slog.
I hate what I'm hearing right now.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I haven't played a lot of it. It's why I play it off and on. And when I do play it, it's one mission because
from front mission to one mission, Chase is.
It's like I can't play more than one mission at a time because they're so fucking long.
Yuck.
But when I do play that game, I like it. There's something about this one having. It's not an open world, but you can choose what missions you do, and you have a handful of missions open to you at any one time. Whereas older Super Robot Wars games were very linear, and you just kept playing the mission in front of you. It leads to a situation where I just don't know where I am with this game. I wish I could tell you if I was halfway through or 3/4 of the way through or almost done, and I just have no idea. I know there's an achievement, an in-game achievement for doing 150 missions, so there must at least be 150 missions.
All right,
and I'm over 2/3 of the way to that, but I don't know if that means that's all the missions. In fact, it almost assuredly means that there's way more missions than that. But I still like it. I'm on break. I can play whatever the fuck I want. So I played a lot of Super Robot Wars 30 today and had a great time.
Yuck. Well,
Happy for you, Chase.
I'm something for you, Chase. All right, Chase played Pokemon Red, Front Mission Remake, or whatever it's called, Koromon, and unfortunately more Super Robot Wars 30. Moving us right along here, Bobby, have played better games than Chase, and I will kick that off.
Debatable, but we'll see. What do you got?
Better than Pokemon Red.
Better than Front Mission and better than Super Robot Wars 30, absolutely. I played a game called Kinseed, which Kinseed came out on December 6th. It is from Pixel Count Studios, which is made up of people, I should say, that made Fable or was involved in Fable.
Okay.
It's a very pretty pixel art game that was in early access or sometime. It hit 1.0 earlier in December.
It does look pretty.
It is. It's got a very pleasing soundtrack style. The pixel art, I think, is great. This is it's like a Stardew. It's kind of like a Harvest Moon, but maybe a little bit more. It's got a ton of fetch quests in the prologue, and the prologue is something that they said like, hey, just don't rush through this because there are a lot of systems from picking up missions and picking up abilities, learning, like when you go to upgrade or craft a shovel, you're making a cast that you'll then use to blacksmith. And so you're like actually doing works, and there's many games that go into it. It's just not running and having somebody do it. It's a lot more hands-on. So it does slow things down a little bit. There is, I think, some supernatural stuff that's going to come to play in this as well. I do think there's going to be some light combat also. I really dig it. I'm having a hard time saying a lot of bad things or finding things I don't like about it. I think we've
passed. You want me to play it?
Please, I need something bad about it. Jesus Christ. That's the thing. Like every good game has a but every bad game is the best thing ever with you. Anyway.
I deal in shades of gray.
I appreciate it. Thank you. 50 Shades of Chase. We have a very cool way of like, hey, go get this milk from the cow, deliver it. It's got a really cool encyclopedia with it. The combat stuff in it seems like it's going to be pretty all right. I don't know if it's quite turn-based from what I've seen, but more to come. My cousin bought this on Steam. We were doing some of the family sharing, and I was having a hard time finding time to play it when he wasn't. And the little bit that I did play on Steam Deck worked out really well. It feels like a pretty good home for it. It's $20 on sale right now. I might just grab it myself so I don't have to keep battling him for time with it. But Kinseed seems all right. And I think if this would have came out earlier in the year and I probably would have had time to commit to it, it's got crafting, a little like light building stuff, more like farming, kind of like a Stardew or Animal Crossing. So it's not like a Satisfactory, but it seems really cool. $24 normally, on sale, $19.99 right now. I think it is
Yeah, well, it's
only,
hot.
yeah, I'll probably will just pick it up while it's on sale for sure. But Kinseed seems a-okay, and I've had a good time with it. A game that I picked up that I played a demo for on one of the games previews, Next Fest, one of those, is called Blacktail. And this game's really cool. It's from the Parasite. I'm not quite sure much more about them outside of this game. It's a first person game, and it deals heavily with, I don't know what location. Baba Yaga. It's some sort of like folklore, like
Baba Yaga,
Baba Yaga.
girl accused of witchcraft expelled from her home.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's maybe it's Slavic. I think might be
Yeah,
where it's
it says
okay.
Slavic in the Steam page
Okay.
description.
It's really fucking cool. You have a bow and arrow. You have some witchcraft abilities, and you are dealing with seemingly like either a sister or like another, like you are like you have a split personality. I can't tell yet what it is, but you are dealing with a very like good and evil morality with what's happening here, and you are at conflict. It's a gorgeous, very lush game. The abilities of bringing witchcraft into archery are really interesting. So I just unlocked the ability to multiply my arrows and shoot them out with witchcraft, like in a fan effect. There are so far like very easy to take out with like one or two hits enemies. You have to craft your own arrows, but you can grab like feathers and sticks and shit around you, which is pretty easy to do. And it's got a quick crafting menu that you can pull up while you're out running around. It seems like it's going to have a really cool story to it. I don't know how long it is. Focus Entertainment put it out.
Looks about 25 hours according to one Steam review.
That's a little bit longer than I thought it would be. All right,
So
cool.
it took them 25 to 100% it. So
okay. But I think it looks great. It plays really well. The voice acting is pretty damn good so far, and the lore and folklore that's happening here, and it seems pretty interesting. And I'm kind of a sucker for like dark arts folklore stuff. Like it's always usually usually when you find a game that has it, it's like a horror game, and I don't want to deal with that. So having a game that is maybe a little uncomfortable like this, but not scary or horror based, has been pretty good so far. But Blacktail seems all right. That game came out on December 15th, right in the midst of our Game of the Year discussion. But I did enjoy the demo when I played it, so I went ahead and picked it up. It's not that expensive, I don't think. It's $23.99 right now on sale, so worth checking out. 20% off.
Cool.
But the game that I have been spending the most time with, one second here.
Yeah, I feel like I messed up a little bit. I was kind of between this game that you're about to talk about and Front Mission.
Chase,
I had them,
you messed
I had
up
them
big.
both downloaded, and I was like, oh, I'll play one of these. And I thought, well, let's play this one instead. But yeah, I messed up. Sounds like
Chained Echoes is the game that Chase messed up on not playing. This hit Game Pass day and date when it came out, which I think this was mid-December as well. This was December 8th, early December. And I started playing it there, and I was liking it so much that I'm like, I'm just going to go pick this up on Steam. I went ahead and bought it. It's $25. Deck verified, been playing it there and having a fucking blast playing it in handheld. This is just a really fucking strong outing, first impression RPG, JRPG. I don't know if it's JRPG.
it is. Yeah. They're absolutely going for like a Chrono Trigger thing here.
Yeah. So this game does a lot. There's a lot of systems that play that, like when you're first getting into it, it can be like, hang on a second, what the fuck's happening here? Like it's not. Granted, out of the show here, I probably had the least amount of time with JRPGs, but what I have played with them, I kind of know like what to expect to a degree. leveling up, getting your characters, building relationships, that sort of thing.
Well, there's no leveling up here.
There's not, but there is in some ways. So the game uses a grimoire system where after each boss encounter,
like in Destiny, where you have to like open a completely separate app to read about the game. Is that what you
they're
mean
actually
by a grimoire system?
they're a little bit better about it here.
What? No,
Yeah.
Bungie nailed it on the first try.
So they do you get a point essentially after a major encounter, like a boss or a sub boss sometimes, and everybody in your party gets it. So like you get to go into it, and they have a tier system where it's like, here are your passive and your active skills. You can put a point in it. It could be like, I'm going to boost up my health, or I'm going to add a poison resistance, or I'm going to unlock a new attack. And these are all elemental: wind, fire, earth, water, etc. And you can start to get to other tiers of abilities. If you've unlocked 4 abilities in this tier, you now have the second tier that you can start to add stuff to. But the gear is really where you start to increase your output quite a bit, and that's going to be chest, accessory, a weapon. I just last night, I thought they were going to do this, and they did not let me down. There's a class system. So you can find these shrines that you pray to, and there's a little encounter that you have to clear to prove your worth. And they give you a token that you can apply to your character that then gives you new skills, both active and passive, that once you level up completely, kind of like Xenoblade, you just now have that skill that you can use on anybody else. So I just got the cleric ability last night, and I've got Victor slotted to be my cleric. Here's the other really cool thing that they do that I love. There's a formation system. And so like I have 6 people that are in my party. And usually in these games, you can have 3 people out, 4 people out, whatever it would be. But when you're in a battle, you can put people together as like an A and B side, and you can flip them around as much as you want. Each like
like Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yeah, like Mario Kart Double Dash.
Okay, it's a system I understand, and
so it's really cool because you almost have like you can have up to 8 people really that you can rotate through a single battle. But the big thing in battle is they have this overdrive system, and it's you giving damage, you taking damage, you're increasing this bar that when you get into the overdrive state, you are outputting way more damage. Now, if you continue to do so, you can start to damage yourself. So to let you know, like, hey, you need to use this type of move set, and that will like you can watch the bar, like it'll forecast where it'll move, and that's really great because you can stay in that state. That's the whole concept. That's the gimmick. Stay in overdrive, kick some ass, and I like that because they force you to use different types of moves, which I think is really cool in there.
I thought that was awesome. I just played through the prologue on Game Pass before I got some Steam credit for Christmas, and I was like, I just want to buy this game so I can own it forever, and play it on my Steam Deck without having to stream it. So, super impressive first impression, and I need to get back into it. Because it sounds amazing.
There's been the battle encounters, even for like fodder enemies that you find out in the overworld, they haven't like damaged me to the point where I'm dying, but because of the systems that are at play here, there is a lot of rock paper scissors. Like, okay, when you go to attack it, it'll let you know, hey, you can actually steal from this creature or person. They're going to be strong with this, they're going to be weak to this. So you're trying to match things up, rotate people in. There's a lot of buttons and levers you're pulling in combat, which for turn-based stuff like this, I really appreciate. I think it adds another layer of strategy and element to making it feel a bit more than just like 3 buttons for each person. Okay, boom, 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 attack, boom, 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 attack. You're actually thinking about who you're attacking, why you're attacking, what the moves are. There's also ultra abilities that everybody has. You'll like this. One of the main characters, Chase, they have a really kick-ass animation that happens. They build... It's not quite a mecha. It kind of looks like the cup that Bowser flies around in, but with arms and a leg. Okay. And then it goes and like it damages everybody quite a bit, and it debuffs them. It's great.
But eventually, they do all get mechs.
Yeah, so I didn't want to talk about it too much because I haven't had a lot of time with it because it's right at the beginning of the
it's
game.
in the trailer. It's not like it's a spoiler, but it's something that doesn't happen right away, I imagine.
Yeah, that's the very first thing that you do is you fly out and you're what the fuck is the name of it? Sky Armor or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it looks like it's not to me, it doesn't look like a traditional mecha. It looks like a suit of armor. It looks like a knight that you're flying and piloting, but they have like fucking like lances and big ass guns, and those battles felt bombastic and very like you're hitting people for like 800 damage and shit, like where you immediately crash in that opening and then you're on foot. And that stuff's still cool because like everybody's got their own personality and abilities, but I wonder how that will play out now that you can put classes on people. Will that affect the type of armor that they get, and what will that look like? It seems like it's going to be great. Brian, friend of our show that we're on Twitter that chats with us all the time. I think he's one of your friends.
Brian Glenn,
he was talking like I think he put like 50 hours in. Said it was one of the best games he played this year. Had an absolute blast with it.
Yeah, it was on his tops list that he posted today.
It's really good. You need to play it. Like this should be something you're playing right now.
I bought it. I have dropped front mission at this point until somebody forces me to try it again. And I think Chained Echoes is going to take that slot. So I see myself playing it here in the next week or so, if not sooner.
Awesome.
I don't know if it would have. I mean, shit, man. You know how these games are. They take a minute to get going. But
yeah, coming out December 8th, it wasn't going to be a practical thing for any of us to play before Game of the Year time.
But I do think at this point in time, I'm further along than I was on Game Pass, but I had to redo all that. So I've got a lot of time into this, but a lot of it was backtracking. I would say this had potential to be on a list for sure.
Yeah,
it seems really cool. So I played Concede, Blacktail, Chained Echoes. I've also played another game, but Johnny's going to talk about that, and I'll chime in. So Johnny, it's up to you.
Well, as long as my audio doesn't cut out.
We'll see.
How am I now? Am I okay now?
You seem great.
Okay.
We'll let you know. Don't worry.
So we all played Golf Story and enjoyed it.
Love a Golf Story.
You and Chase, I think, liked it of degree more than I did, but I still really enjoyed
one of the best Switch games.
One of the best golf
games. I would recommend it to anyone buying a Switch.
Yep.
Because as far as I know, that's the only place that you can play it still.
Correct.
Yep. And we've all been waiting and waiting and waiting.
Oh, we've waited
for Sports Story to come out. In fact, we were joking. I think the day that it actually was announced that hey, it's out, was like, well, I guess Sports Story.
I think I even said like this game's not real. At one point in time.
Well, you've been saying that for months.
Yeah.
And then Wario64 tweeted a trailer that Nintendo put out of a showcase, and he said Sports Story. I was like, oh shit, it's real. And I went there, I opened it, I redeemed $6 worth of coins. So I paid a paltry $7 for this thing, I think.
And I was very pissed because I had already left and was on the road and out of town and had no access to download this game.
You might have done yourself a favor.
And I'm very confused by this game because
how so, Johnny?
I seem to recall the first one, like you just gets going, like it starts and you
show up to this country club and
immediately start golfing, and it starts introducing all these cool mechanics.
I think that you had lost a parent if I remember correctly.
Like your dad, your dad taught you golf and you loved golfing with your dad, and now you're here and he's not. And but yes, like it was like Mario Golf, especially like the Game Boy Color one, where it kind of was bringing you into this a touch of story, but then let's get right into the golf.
Let's do golf. And the courses I loved all the courses that I played on. And this is just like we talked about this at length, like multiple times. Like it's doing so much And
Yeah.
I don't know if any of us wanted or needed any of that. Instead of, hey, like let's just make some more golf, because that's
Yeah, like
that's why I came
my
to
two
this.
wishes, the two things I most wanted were either Golf Story 2, just make a second one,
Yep.
more courses, different stuff,
Yeah.
or make one different sport.
Yeah.
Baseball story, volleyball story, basketball story,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
Focus, so you can
Dude,
hone the
yeah.
mechanics for that particular thing, and really fine tune the courses or whatever it is you'll be playing on. And this one, it feels like the scope of it is just so wide, and like I feel like I've barely played it at all, other than to solve some like environmental
Johnny,
puzzles.
you're breaking up. Let me chime in for a second and see if your shit will
Okay.
reset for a second.
All right.
You're absolutely right. It's very big. That's something we talked about being like, is it trying to do too much?
It's not even that it's too many sports, though. I mean, there are too many sports. It's got like motocross and baseball and golf and
Volleyball,
Yep.
yeah, it's got
soccer.
a lot. It's got a ton of different kinds of sports in there, but also it seems like it mixes them in some ways too, where
Well,
it like
that's what I was trying
blends
to
them
say.
together,
Like,
kind of. Yeah.
so not only that, the game, like I'll get into that because that's a fundamental issue with it. But the biggest thing that like stands out to me right out of the gate is there was a heart to Golf Story. There was a pulse to that game that made you want to go on this story. What is this story about? Like this person that is trying to find they want to be a pro golfer because of their father. This game just fucking opens up, dude. They don't mention any of that shit. They throw you into it. There's absolutely no tutorials on how to do fuck all in this game. It feels so tongue in cheek, like they have completely jumped the shark. Completely. And you get into this first level, and just like the whole dynamic of you and your coach and your friends, the game was always a bit cheeky, like in its writing. It was always very,
Yeah.
very much so. But this one,
It
especially,
was written by Australians. It could be nothing but cheeky.
Yeah.
It's the only way it works.
it just feels like it has not only too much going on, but a very difficult time knowing what to do with itself. And the golfing, in my opinion, doesn't feel as good as it did in the first one. I don't know what the aiming is all over the place on this. Like it's so hard to
You think at least that would be fine, right?
dude like
You
trying
already
to
made this.
I almost downloaded Golf Story just to make sure I wasn't misremembering because it feels so
I played
bad.
Golf Story within the last handful of months, and I gotta say, it still felt pretty good. I know we had some issues. I think especially with the greens, it was like it didn't get the topography options that you get in a lot of golf games where putting ended up being a little bit more of a mystery. But the rest of the golf, I remember feeling spectacular, and it wasn't that long ago that I played some Golf Story. So yeah, the idea that they fucked that up is insane to me.
Johnny, let's check in. You want to try chatting a little bit more?
Yeah. How do I sound now?
You sound
Great.
okay.
You sound like a man who loves Sports Story.
I don't think I do.
You don't sound like that man.
I think this game might be bad. I think this might be
Yeah.
a bad game. And
I'm fighting that feeling too.
like I played. My wife commented on how much of it I was playing over the weekend after it came out, and at one point I just kind of stopped. I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I went and played some Call of Duty and felt better about myself. Like,
What does Misty think the game sucks too or something?
no, she was just
Oh.
like, what is that you've been playing? You've been really, seemingly engrossed in that. And maybe it was just, maybe she mistook my furrowed eyebrow for,
Or focus, yeah.
yeah. And I was focusing on continuing playing that game because I really didn't want to. It kind of was like, when do I get to the golf? When is the golf part? Like, you want me to get rid of these gangsters on this golf course that you sent me to? But there's no golf. There's just occasional puzzles involving golf. And like there was one challenge where you had to make it onto a green from different driving spots.
Yeah.
That was fun. but everything else is just like solving puzzles, and I'm not there to do that. I play golf and other sports apparently, and they're getting in the way of that. So I don't know.
Like it even has like Zelda style dungeon crawly stuff.
I mean, I'm not surprised,
different
dude.
parts.
It's like they tried to turn it into Stardew or something.
Man,
They also
that's a
like
bummer to hear.
your character is basically like, this is going to be a slight spoiler, so sorry, I guess, but
Go for it.
your character is essentially like, I'm a detective now.
Yeah,
That's how like all this kind of comes
What?
together. Is like I'm a detective.
I don't know, man.
What are you detecting?
So
Crimes.
There's a golf course
okay,
that
thank you.
there's a golf course that you show up to, and they're like, you need to find out who owns it. They've sold this. Like, because there's this gang there that Johnny mentioned, and you find out that the 4 ancestors all had a part ownership of this, and there's 4 of their relatives that are there now that have sold off ownership, and you need to figure out and get to the bottom of why they did and who's doing it and what the gang. It's Chase. It's like we jumped the shark is a term that gets used a lot.
Yeah.
They have jumped the fucking shark here. And I told Johnny this, that to me it feels like they had an idea for DLC that's like, hey, let's do something with this sport, and we'll add that in there.
Just kind of snowballed into this mess.
And I think that's why, like, I don't know anything. All right, nobody here at the Casual Hour does. We're not here to stir the pot. I read the same shit most people do. I was starting to read online. I went on Reddit and a few other spots trying to figure out, because like, was I alone in feeling this way? Was there other people, like, was I missing it? Sounds like there might be a little trouble in paradise on the development front. And I know it's a small team. I think that they maybe were being pressured to go a direction with this that they weren't quite ready to go from a scale. And
I mean, you see that
by Nintendo?
I don't know who.
You see that a lot with Kickstarter games, or you did back in the day when Kickstarter games were a bigger deal than they are now. But
Yeah,
you
like
have a game.
all the stretch goals.
Yeah, like you start with a small game that looks cool. That, hey, we just need a little money to finish this out, and then it gets big. It hits its goal fast, and then, like Johnny said, it has a bunch. They end up going, well, we need to incentivize people to keep giving us more money. What can we do? Let's make some stretch goals, and then let's make this game bigger. Yeah. Like the biggest
to all the consoles, and then
sure.
All sorts of crazy bullshit.
But the biggest one I can think of is the Double Fine Adventure, which turned into Broken Age, where that was supposed to be a very small thing. It was an experiment for them. So, hey, we have this really focused small idea, and then they just kept getting more money for it, to the point where they said, well, we need to change what the game is to accommodate the money that we're getting for it. Because if we're getting so much money, we should absolutely pour that more into the game. And the problem is that's not what the people were buying. Now, it worked out with Broken Age. I think people generally like Broken Age. But for something like this, I could see them being a victim of that success, where Golf Story was such a big hit.
Yeah.
And now you get to the idea, well, we have to make a bigger game. We can't just make a sequel to Golf Story. We have to make the next big thing. And
it's too big. It feels, it lacks focus.
Yes. It's all over the place, man. Chase, I would just say, I know I told you, because like we didn't even get into it because there's enough wrong with it, but it's fucking busted too mechanically.
Yeah. Okay. So that's like, I know I'm going to end up playing this because I can't not play it. I need to see it for myself. But
you got to put something on your top. You got to put something at number 10 in 2023. So let's get another bad game for you.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like I was kind of waiting to feel you guys out, because I do like the original game, just not as much as you guys did. And I was like, man, this is
this ain't it. I'll tell you that much right now. It sucks too.
It, though.
What is it?
What is it is Into the Breach. You guys familiar with this? Heard about this?
A little bit. Yes, I'm slightly familiar with one of my favorite games of all time. Go on.
I I received an iPad after Christmas. My dad gave me his old one after he got a new one. And one of the first things I did was install Into the Breach on it, and that's basically all I've done since Christmas Eve is play Into the Breach on this iPad, and it is so good. I would dare say it is the perfect strategy game.
It's like it's up there. It's in like the top 5, maybe
It's
top
very
3.
good.
I think I love it as much as I love chess, and I am terrible at chess, but I love chess, and it flexes my brain in that same way, which means I'm also like kind of terrible at Into the Breach a lot of the times. But when I do get a successful run and make it all the way to the end, oh my god, it feels so good. And I've been trying out some of the new squads that they have in there. It's not arachnids, it's something. But it's like designs based on Vec themselves, which I think is really cool. And I'm playing with all the new stuff turned on. I love all the different challenges and things they've added to the levels. It's just.
Does the iPad version have any carryover? Like, does it have a way to get your progress? Okay.
No, it sucks because honestly,
I wish it did.
It's an
man,
opportunity to play all that stuff again.
it plays really good on the iPad.
Yeah. It's great. Like
it doesn't surprise me. Like FTL plays pretty good on an iPad. FTL was a little tougher because they had to squish the UI elements, and like there was some overlapping stuff on the UI that is not there on the desktop version. And I found it a little bit harder to play on an iPad, but that game also has some real-time elements to it, whereas Into the Breach does not. So I imagine it just doesn't matter. Like it seems like a much simpler game UI wise to port to an iPad. I'm just shocked it took them so long to do.
I know. I also played some Dead Cells on this thing with a controller pair to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's next for Subset? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, man. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna buy it.
They can't miss. I mean, how about Sports Story 2? That's what Subset Games should make.
Man. All right, Johnny, Into the Breach, still good? Yes.
Great. Speaking of focused, like that's a game that
absolutely.
My God. It just
I'm glad you guys are finally coming around to a game that I've been talking about for a while now.
I know.
So
I'm glad that we finally listened to your wisdom.
I'm the one who pushed. I pushed for it to be, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
So Johnny, you covered Sports Story, unfortunately, and Into the Breach for iOS, and you gave one thumb down, one big thumb up. It sounds like. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Chase, I would love to know how you felt we did in our December game picks.
I think we all have some dues to pay here. Let's take a look at the previous month recap. So I had Marvel's Midnight Suns, which ended up being my number 8 game of the year. I think that game's pretty good, despite the writing, which we've talked plenty about. I had Chained Echoes, which sounds like I should have played.
Yeah, man.
But I did purchase. I also did purchase Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, but I have not put any time into that game.
Like 30 minutes.
Maybe. I'm sure. I know what that game is.
Where are you playing that at, Johnny?
PS5.
Switch.
It's not a graphics. Like it looks like an old game.
Just stop. Johnny.
You're not saying anything.
Just stop. God damn it.
So I can't tell you how good Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is, but I played the PSP game and it's probably been that, so it'll be fine. Bobby, I still maintain that is a game you can completely skip. It'll go over your head. It'll go over my head, story wise, because it's a lot of stupid bullshit that doesn't matter. So don't even worry about it,
man.
But it
looks neat. I almost picked it up. That's why I got excited, because Johnny and I have a shared Steam library. But
I see.
Sorry, buddy.
I think you're fine. I think you're fine, Bobby. There's other Final Fantasy VII stuff you can enjoy that is not this. Don't worry about it. And then I had some game called Sports Story, which sounds great. No problems there. Bobby, you also had Marvel's Midnight Suns, which you like. Didn't make your top
Yeah.
10, but you do like it.
Yeah.
Need for Speed Unbound, that also didn't make your top 10. It
Nope,
made
but
Johnny's though,
no,
right?
it didn't make any
That was
of our
close.
list.
It
It
was
was
close.
Oh, it
close.
didn't make
I really
anybody's
like it
list.
a lot.
Okay.
It was on my list for a little while, and then I swapped it out for
Okay.
for something else.
But you were pretty happy with Need for Speed Unbound.
Oh, dude, that game rules. Yeah, it was
You
very
have
close.
the Callisto Protocol. Where did we end up landing on Callisto Protocol?
It's a fine game.
Yeah, I mean the people that I thought would lose their shit over it were not thrilled, and I thought that I would be not thrilled, but somewhat okay with it. And I was like, there's other shit I would want to play right now. Need for Speed, Marvel's Midnight Suns. I downloaded the game. I played like the first little opening bit of it. It looks gorgeous, but decided not to waste time on a game that people seem to be bouncing off of pretty hard.
Okay.
I got like 3 hours into it. I think it's fine. It's not. I'm more looking forward to the Dead Space remake and RE4.
Yeah.
Sure. You also had Dragon Quest Treasures. I don't think you bought that game, correct?
I didn't. It seems like it's getting decent reviews. I haven't seen a lot. I think
I've heard some people say it's hard.
Yeah,
Really?
Which is a little surprising to me.
I read that too. But honestly, man, what happened is Chained Echoes. Like I was going to get that game.
Yeah. Also, Dragon Quest Treasures is going to be like 1 billion hours.
Yeah.
It's one of those kinds of games that you're just going to be continually taking on missions, and I mean that sounds like some fun, but also it sounds like a lot. And then you also had Sports Story, which we talked about. Johnny, you also had Need for Speed Unbound. You had Crisis Core. You had Sports Story, and you had Callisto. And we've mentioned all those. So let's keep moving on. Let's talk about the free stuff that you can get in January. Now, we should say we do not quite yet know what the Xbox games with gold are going to be. I don't believe those have shown up yet.
I'll double check while you're going over the PlayStation stuff.
The PlayStation Plus stuff got leaked pretty early and now got confirmed pretty recently. And it's kind of a decent month for PlayStation Plus in January. Yeah. We're getting on PS5, you can get Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and also Axiom Verge 2, which
I like that game a whole lot.
Jedi is a fine game, and Axiom Verge 2 I've heard very good things, so those are both solid. And then on PS4, which will also work on your PS5, Fallout 76. So yep, that's a thing you could do if you hate yourself. Bobby, Xbox.
Do you want me to do predictions and speculation?
No, I don't want any of that rumor shit. Those are almost always wrong. So let's get.
Well, I got some solid shit for you though.
Let's talk about some Game Pass stuff. Yeah.
We've got games that we will talk more about here in a little bit, so I'm going to run through these. Persona 3, Persona 4, Monster Hunter Rise, Age of Empires 2, Inculinati, and RoboQuest.
Yeah. That Inculinati is difficult to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be an Illuminati pun, but still doesn't help the pronunciation. It works better in text than it does speaking it.
Yes, agreed.
Anyway, let's get into the month of January. What do you say, boys?
I say yay. Let's try that.
Right.
All right. I'm going to see how this works.
Okay. I'll tell you, it gets a little cold in January, both weather and game release wise. So we're going to start on the 13th because that's the first time a game of any somewhat significance seems to show up. And that is One Piece Odyssey. It's coming to PC, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Bobby, we talked about this on Monday. I don't know shit about One Piece. I know it has 1,000+ episodes of anime.
There's a lot.
The manga is somehow still going. It is just the longest fucking story ever told.
It goes forever.
But there's been One Piece games before. There's been many One Piece games before. I don't feel like I've seen one that looks like it's trying to be a
Dragon Quest
RPG. Yeah, this absolutely looks like Dragon Quest. It gives me huge Dragon Quest 11 vibes. Just from yes, there's some art style stuff to it in the kind of almost clay look that the characters have, but it also just feels like it's a grand adventure more than like the Dynasty Warrior style games they've done before, or stuff like the Naruto games that you would see on 360 or something. Like there were some One Piece games that were kind of like that too. This seems like it's retelling a lot of a One Piece story, or I don't know how much of that giant ass story that you can tell in a game, but this seems like it's actually going for big epic JRPG vibes, and that's kind of cool. Probably not something I'm going to play. Not caring that much about One Piece, but it looks kind of good.
I know. I've been half tempted by this.
Yeah,
but I know nothing about One Piece.
I mean, just the fact that it's an RPG instead of like if this was like some One Piece fighting game, don't care. If this was another Dynasty Warrior style looking game, don't care. The fact that it is a JRPG has me more interested than I would be before. I just don't care.
Man, it wants to be fucking Dragon Quest.
It really does. It really, really does. And who knows? It might make it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the 19th, where we're getting A Space for the Unbound coming to PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. I can't remember where he saw this before. It might have been at the Wholesome Direct. It might have been at a Nintendo Indie World. I think it might have been a Nintendo Indie World. But this is a pixel art adventure game that is set in 90s Indonesia. I love the look of this game. I know we see tons of pixel art games, but this one has a style to the pixel art that feels different. And maybe it's just the setting. Maybe having something set in 90s Indonesia, where I can't remember another game set in 90s Indonesia.
No, not at all.
It takes some folklore stuff and brings it in here with some supernatural elements. I think this game looks rad, and I've kind of been on a kick for similar kinds of games like this. What was the other one I played? Like if Only or something like that. That was about like I think it was like an Irish or Scottish. I think it was Irish town. I liked these smaller games from developers that teach me a little bit about their home countries, and this is one I kind of just want to soak up what 90s Indonesia is like. We see tons of games that try to show you what Japan is like. I've seen Shibuya Square 1,000 times in video games, but the idea of seeing a much lesser known nation like Indonesia, I think seems really cool. I'm excited for this one. How about you guys?
I think it looks really cool. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be picking this up, but I think it looks really neat. And I mean, fuck, man, you could come on singing its praises, and the style here has me very intrigued. So if there's enough substance to go with that style, I might pick it up. When did you say this one comes out?
The 19th.
It's bad timing for me, Chase.
Yeah, I get that. There's some other stuff kind of coming around that time too.
Yeah.
One of which is a game that is set in Japan, a nation we know well. But Persona 3 Portable comes to PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Persona 3 Portable. So Persona 3 originally was a PS2 game. There was an upgraded version called Persona 3 FES. FES stood for Festival. And then there was also a portable version that came to PSP called Persona 3 Portable, or P3P. This is the portable version. That's different from the FES version in some ways. P3P, it lacks the anime cutscenes that were included in, I think, the original Persona 3 and in FES. Also, those games had more walkable areas, kind of like Persona 4. When you played that, you could kind of walk around to different places. This has more of like a menu-based thing where you're kind of like a zoomed-out version of where do you want to go in the school, and you select it on a menu in the portable version. Again, you have walkable areas in the other versions, but not this version, the one that you are going to now get on Steam and on Switch and things like that. But what P3, and it also doesn't include the Persona 3 FES post-game story thing called The Answer, which is kind of like an extra true ending thing. Doesn't include any of that. What it does include, though, is the improvements that we got for Persona 3 Portable, one of which is the ability to directly control your other party members. In base Persona 3, your other party members would just do their own attacks. There'd be AI based on what they would do. So you'd have to hope that somebody would heal you at the right time, or hope that they performed a good attack that might knock somebody down instead of just being useless or even being reflected back at them. You do have the option to keep that in Persona 3 Portable, but you also can just directly control them like you can in later Persona games. And then also, probably the biggest thing Persona 3 Portable added is a female protagonist option as well. So it gives you a whole second option, different people to romance, and different social link stuff based on that. I played a little bit of Persona 3 Portable when it came out, and I bounced off it pretty quickly.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I played Persona 4 Golden first, so that was my first Persona experience. So going back to something like Persona 3 felt a little dated by comparison. In the same way, I imagine playing Persona 4 would feel if you played Persona 5, right, Bobby?
Yes. Yes.
But still, I feel bad. There are a lot of really cool characters in Persona 3. It's a game I would like to have in my brain box and know how it felt and what it was about. And I feel like this is one I might pick up. I feel like on something like the Switch or a Steam Deck, this is something I could see myself giving another shot to.
I mean, and if you take advantage of Game Pass, you'll have it there.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is also an option. Also on the 19th, Persona 4 Golden is coming to Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. I didn't say PC because it's already there. This is a port of the Steam version of Golden. Golden was, so again, Persona 4 was on the PS2. It's weird that game was also on the PS2. That feels crazy to me. But Persona 4 Golden was on the Vita. Fantastic system. One of the best. And Golden has an extra bit of story stuff. It adds a new character in, a girl named Marie, who some people don't like. I really like Marie. I think Marie's great. It also adds like an extra chapter where I think they go snowboarding. I could be wrong on that. That might be in the base game. But Golden, I think, is a great game. It's the first way I ever played Persona 4. Love that game to death. I know Bobby has had trouble going back to that after playing Persona 5, which I get. I also tried to play Persona 4 Golden again on my PlayStation TV, which is the thing that like connected to your Vita in a way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I also love that little thing. And didn't get very far, kind of bounced off it. Just something about going back through all the same options that I had seen before. Wasn't doing it for me, but still love this game. It's still one of my favorite games of all time, and now it's coming to more things, including the Switch. So you can play it handheld. I mean, you could play it handheld if you had a Steam Deck right now, but
or a Vita,
or a Vita, the way it was meant to be played.
Yep.
Let's move on to the 20th when the game of the year is coming out. Fire Emblem Engage
you are just setting,
is coming.
like,
I absolutely am.
You are setting yourself up to be hurt.
I probably am. But Fire Emblem has hurt me fewer times than other franchises have, Fire Emblem Heroes notwithstanding. Fire Emblem Engage is coming out for the Nintendo Switch. It looks cool. I still hate the main character's hair.
I don't. Yeah, you can't say this game looks cool while this fucking clown is looking up at us on the screen.
It's so weird because I actually really like Penny's design in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and she also has this red and blue
glasses
hair effect.
on.
I mean, it helps. I think you can add glasses to all these characters in this game. I think you get the option to. But yeah, Alir is the main character here. I really hate that hair on both the male and female versions of the protagonist. But I think a lot of the other character designs look pretty good. The background design looks way better than Three Houses did. It seems like a lot of stuff has kind of been stripped down from Three Houses, like the big monastery stuff, which we've complained about a lot recently, talking about something like Marvel's Midnight Suns. I'm really excited for this, and having the emblem rings that brings back a bunch of old characters in cool new ways.
You just like the multiverse. Be honest with us.
Yeah, that's right. You got me, Bobby. Love me a multiverse. But yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about this one.
I'm going to be picking this up day one. I really like Three Houses. Some of these characters look real weird to me compared to Three Houses characters.
Yeah, girl with like the heart tattoo on her face, not so much into, but
we'll see how it goes. I'm very curious to experience some of these older characters that I know people really dig. I feel I have grown a lot in the genre since Three Houses, and I'm excited to tackle a bit more with it. We'll see. I'm very curious about this one.
Yeah. They brought back the weapon triangle, which is a great classic Fire Emblem thing. In fact, it seems like the weapon triangle matters more than ever because there's this new break option, which seems like it disarms opponents for a turn if you break them by using the triangle advantage, and then you can then bring in your other characters for easy follow-ups.
You're saying this has a triangle strategy in it?
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Yep, that's what I'm saying. Let's move on. Also on the 20th, Monster Hunter Rise is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. This is a port of the 2021 Switch game and 2022 PC game. Sunbreak is not a part of this.
Sunbreak's not a part of it, and
fucked.
Save.
Isn't that fucked?
Oh yeah, they should have done because they did that with World, where they just started throwing Iceborne in with it.
Yeah.
I think that Sunbreak is still relatively new, in my opinion.
Well, this also happened with the console and PC port.
Isn't it like because of the seasons is like, hey, we're building seasons of content for how this goes, and when you bring it to a new platform, they run a start it with the same season rotation they had before, which means we can't just put in all the new content at the same time because that fucks everything. I get it based on that, but also the idea, I don't know if this is going to be full price. I assume it's not. Who knows? It might though. The idea of buying Monster Hunter Rise at a somewhat full price or full price and not getting all the DLC at this point and having to go through the same seasonal slog
not
that
having
people have already gone through.
Cross save or cross play.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a big one.
Seems rough. But if you've been dying to play Monster Hunter Rise and you've only had a PlayStation or an Xbox, you can now. And the game itself you guys like, correct?
I love it.
Yeah. That's one of my most played games of the year, according to Steam.
Sunbreak is coming. It's just not right when it comes out. It'll come out later in 2023.
Yep.
Let's move on to the 24th, where we're getting Forspoken for PC and PS5. You guys mentioned playing the demo because that got shown and announced at the Game Awards. What'd you guys think of the demo of Forspoken?
It does not look great on PS5. It's running at like it's like running below 1080, I think, depending on the mode that you have it in. So like the actual gameplay, like the movement and the magic and stuff, I think seems kind of cool. But if I were to pick it up, it would not be on PlayStation. It would be on PC. And even then, it's just odd that it seems like a game should be able to run at least at 4K 30 on these new systems. So I don't know. Like we'll see. Maybe there'll be a big like performance patch or something when it launches that makes it
Yeah. I think
look and run better. But
there's a lot
it
more
was
going on with
just
this game than I was not ready for. I did not know it was going to be like a crafting and like loot and gear heavy
Mhm.
game.
Mm,
And,
I didn't know that either.
I'm really into that stuff. So
That's
I'm
true.
excited.
You are. You're a freak.
And when I say crafting, I'm not talking about like buildings. I'm just saying like you're gonna find materials to craft and upgrade your gear.
Yeah,
Um,
more like a Far Cry style of crafting.
yeah, exactly. The other thing that like I am not 100% on this one is like the Whedon esque quippy dialogue.
Oh
Like,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
because it's like Brooklyn
yeah, you're
girl taken into this fantasy universe.
Yeah, exactly what you said.
God damn it. Okay.
Yes, it's
uh
an isekai.
yes, I know what that is.
Yeah, Bobby
Um,
knows what that is. He understands that reference.
I will be playing this game. My cousin's picking it up for sure on PC, so I'll be able to check it out there. The gameplay and the mechanics of that are really cool. I do have concerns on the performance of the game because it was really bad on PlayStation, as
How
Johnny
does it
brought up.
play? Is this like a character action game or
Yeah,
what exactly? Okay.
but it's mapping abilities to your face buttons, and there's some really cool shit you can do with spell casting. It reminded me a little bit of, do you remember how the gun could change in control to like different types
Yeah.
of shots and
Mm-hmm.
stuff?
Sure.
And it was very fluid and it just kind of happened in the moment.
Yeah.
Like that's how these ability, like the combat reminds me a lot of that on how
I
you're
thought that
casting
part of it
spells.
was kind of
Yeah,
fun.
it was really
Um,
cool.
it's the trapping around it. Like I don't know how about this.
Yeah. Do you guys have any concern over Final Fantasy 16? How that game is going to work technically on
I
something like a
did it.
PlayStation based on how this is not
No,
working very well on a
No,
PlayStation?
no, I think this,
less
yeah,
so for that.
yeah.
Uh,
This seems like a fringe. Go do your thing, have fun. Well,
yeah,
I
I don't know
mean, you're
what
right, but
team
also
developed this. But
this is using like their newest best engine. Like this is supposed to be a technical showpiece for Square, and I believe the same engine is being used for Final Fantasy 16. So that gives me a little pause where, hey, this game that's your technical showpiece is not technically working that well. I mean, it is a demo. There's plenty of time for them to optimize or do whatever they need to.
yeah,
Um,
I'm mainly curious like how it turns out when it launches.
Yeah.
Because like the quippiness and stuff, that's more of just like a personal taste. Like there are people who will enjoy that aspect of it. For me, it was largely technical. Um, I thought like playing the game itself, I thought the movement was pretty fun.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's like with Fire Emblem coming out, like right then,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be one I pick up when it
Yeah,
comes out.
right. I don't know if I was ever picking this up, but especially 4 days after the game that I've been waiting the most for, yeah,
yeah.
I'm. It's not a day one purchase for me. What might be a day one purchase for somebody here on the 27th, we're getting Dead Space, the remake specifically of Dead Space 1, coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. I'm really happy to not say it's coming to PS4 or
Yeah.
Xbox One. Like this is new fucking consoles. Put games
Yeah.
on the new consoles that make it work. um, Even though I'm a little baby who's not going to be playing scary game, I did play some of the first Dead Space on the 360, and I thought I liked the ideas in it, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm still a scaredy cat. I am what I am. But Johnny, you were just talking about this, especially in comparison to something like the Callisto Protocol. What else are you thinking about Dead Space, the remake here?
Dead Space is the game that made me wish I liked horror games back in 2010 when it came out. And I am gonna make a genuine effort to play and enjoy this game because I know the original is revered by a lot of people as being like one of the best horror games ever made, and I don't know. I think everything I've seen for it looks like they're giving it like the care and
It looks
attention
impressive.
that it needs. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I know that 2 and 3 get a little bit more actiony, and maybe a little bit more shootery, but that first game is really a survival horror game. And I remember the big thing with the first game is just how little HUD there was. That your health bar is your spinal cord thing on your suit. When you open a menu, your character is literally opening a menu on their heads up display arm unit, whatever. The game didn't pause during that stuff, so you had to on the fly. So if something's chasing you, you have to actually worry about that shit. And that led to a much more immersive experience. And it seems like this game is going to be keeping all of that stuff, which I would hope so, because that's rad. That's the rad part of the game. Bobby, are you thinking about picking this one up?
Same thing. My cousin's grabbing it, so I'll have a means to check it out. I think that we had even talked about going half and half on this one on PlayStation for that purpose. So I'll be checking it out. I did not play the originals, similar to what you both have said, but I do feel the way that I approached RE4 when that came out and I finished that and had a great time with it. I could see a similar approach here. I'm a sci-fi horror, and I think that's very close to what I'll be getting here. So,
Johnny, for $5 imaginary, what is the name of the protagonist in Dead Space?
Isaac.
All right, there you go. $5 imaginary to Johnny. Well done. I didn't think you'd get that. On the 31st, we are getting Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition for Xbox One and Xbox Series X. As Bobby mentioned, this is going to be on Game Pass. Oh, we mentioned all the Game Pass stuff, so we don't have to repeat all that. But this one is also coming there. This is a port of the 2019 PC game. It will have both gamepad and mouse and keyboard support, as well as crossplay. That's all good stuff. I never had a PC growing up, so I never got to play cool RTS games like Age of Empires 2. I had to settle with playing Warlocked on my Game Boy Color, which I love, but is maybe not the definitive real-time strategy experience. I have a PC now. I could play so many RTS games. Maybe I'll pick this one up. Who knows?
There you go.
But I'd pick up the PC version, obviously, not the Xbox One and Xbox Series X port. But if you do have an Xbox, I'm actually really interested to see how controller support feels for something like that.
It's always it's always interesting to see how they incorporate all the various like mouse and keyboard controls.
Yeah, I mean you've got something games. Like what's the Halo one? Halo
Wars.
Thank you. Like Halo Wars specifically built to work on a controller. Age of Empires was not. So to retroactively throw it in there, how's that going to feel? I'm interested to hear. And then also on the 31st, as Bobby mentioned, Inkulinati, still easy to say, coming to PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. This, as Bobby puts it, is a super slick medieval turn-based strategy game with a Pentiment vibe to it. Yeah, it's got that medieval manuscript look that Pentiment definitely was showing off in spades. This is not quite the visual showpiece that Pentiment was, but still really like all this art and all these animations.
There's a little FMV in this one also.
Mm-hmm.
We played the demo of this one, and it is a lot more tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't take itself very serious even for the setting, but mechanically there was some cool, or technically there's some cool stuff happening with this where it was almost like tug of war is like one of the big things where you can knock people off of like the drawing essentially, and they get erased. It's really, really slick. Johnny, you should absolutely download this when it comes to Game Pass. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's like you're building up to opposing sets of units, and then they just kind of keep clashing in the middle. And it seems like it's a lot about winning that battle of attrition. using strategic means. It definitely had some cool ideas within it. I'd be interested in seeing more about this game.
I do
We
enjoy
will
a good war of attrition.
we will show this on a casual Monday.
All right, and with that, guys, it's time to look at our monthly picks, and I will go first as per usual. It's Fire Emblem Engage. That's it. Who cares? None of the other things don't matter. I probably will end up picking Persona 3 Portable up on my Switch just because I'd like to give that the old college try again. A Space for the Unbound, I think looks and sounds pretty good. That's a game I hope I make time for in 2023. I don't know if I'll be making time for it in January, but Fire Emblem Engage, that's the one. That's it. That's it. Bobby, how about you?
Fire Emblem as well. I got Forspoken, I've got Dead Space, and I've got Influnati on here as well. And yeah, those are the ones. Them's the games.
And Johnny?
It's Fire Emblem Dead Space. I put Persona 3 Portable, mainly just because that is a game I would someday like to play, but I doubt it will be this month. The Influnati game sounds real cool, and it looks pretty neat too.
Nice. And with that is our month of January. Bobby, I'm going to throw it back to you to end this fucking show.
Yeah, man. I did not update. I forgot to do that today. The same thing happened when we did our Monday night stream, but our schedule beneath this is not accurate. But we've had a fun week so far.
Oh, the Game Awards are tomorrow, guys.
Woo! Monday night, Chase and I did play Marvel's Midnight Suns. Our quick look on Tuesday. What did we put up on Tuesday? Need for Speed Unbound. We have Need for Speed Unbound up on Tuesday. And that's great. Check that out. YouTube.com/casual hour. If you are in chat here, let's make sure this works.
It does.
It does work. It looks like it works twice, maybe. Okay.
Double the fun.
Double fun. I'll look into that. With that being said, you can check that on youtube.com/casual hour. Tonight, we told you all about those January games. And on Thursday, we have a quick look for Evil West going up. A hell of a game and a ton of fun. And then Friday night, you can come hang out with Johnny, myself, maybe his cousin, where we head into the DMZ on some Warzone 2.0. Looking forward to heading back out there. Chase, what about you? What do you got going on?
I was going to be recording an episode of the new podcast that I do with my good friend Pierce Corshane called Pilot Program. We've ended up having to postpone recording to next week, so we'll have to talk about MASH then. But you can go listen to episode 3 right now. That episode we did on WWF Monday Night Raw, which was kind of a fun one. And so you can go check that out. It's on my link tree there, as well as links to my YouTube channel, Chase K Plays, where that's on a little bit of a hiatus as I wait to put. I don't know. It's over here. But it's a capture card that's going to go into this personal computer of mine, and then I'll be able to get back on to playing some stuff and recording them there for my YouTube channel. But yeah, that's about it. I'm also really excited for next week's episode of the podcast. I'll let Johnny say his little piece though, but maybe we can give a quick preview of what that episode's going to be.
Yeah.
What do you got, Johnny?
Well,
You've been playing? Has your son been playing any games over the break?
Just lots of Fortnite. He got a new Xbox for Christmas.
Nice. Did he play
cool.
Fortnite on it?
He did. I had Fortnite ready to go for him.
Nice.
We also started Skyrim, The Usual Suspects, Roblox with his friends, but
You shouldn't watch The Usual Suspects with your kid. That's not appropriate for
not
for him for his age.
But he freaked out, man. I got it on. I recorded the moment when he opened it and he saw it in there, and he was just as excited as I was hoping he would be. So
that's great.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Nice.
Now he gets to experience the pleasures of Game Pass.
Yes.
He does. All of the rich bounty. And he won't be on my stuff as much. Which
That's also good.
maybe I had an ulterior motive.
No, you were bringing smiles to children's faces with no expectation of personal gain.
Yeah, the whole day though, he was just, Dad, I love my gift so much. And I was like, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always good to get a gift that you get a gift for somebody that they like. That feels like a real win.
This is the year he no longer believes in Santa, so I got all the credit.
Nice. There it is. Fuck that fat guy.
Yeah,
This is all me, baby.
fuck out of here, Tim Allen.
Well, that's
for
awesome,
multiple
Johnny.
reasons.
Next week, as Chase was mentioning, we have a deep dive that I will be leading us through to kick the year off. We're going to be doing a few things. One final look over the shoulder at 2022, only to set the stage for 2023, where we will do a report card, and we're going to be looking at things from each of the big three. Maybe if we look at PC gaming, how did they fare in the industry this year? What worked well for Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony? What didn't? And
yeah, we talk so much about individual games and things, and that's great. I mean, that's what we're here to do. But I feel like sometimes we don't talk about the bigger picture of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. So I am excited to have a time where we just talk about those things more generally, talk about the industry more generally. I think that'll be good.
Yeah. Also on my quick look, or not quick look, but deep dive next week, we'll be doing our normal resolutions where we each bring things that we are going to be doing or not doing in 2023. So a lot of good stuff there for sure.
One of my favorite things we do each year. Man, did we write down our resolutions last year? That'd be fun
I'm
to
sure
go back
it's
and
on our description.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all did all the things we said we were going to do.
Okay. So we'll have that next week, along with some other fun stuff with streams and quick looks. At the Casual Hour is where you will find all the latest updates. We'll be back live Friday night with the DMZ and Call of Duty. Thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.